Oh my goodness, there are so many examples. But let me talk about subconscious sabotage, because this is kind of a buzzword in, the business world or entrepreneurialism when we're trying to accomplish a goal, for example. And we're capable of reaching it. It's a stretch, but if we put in the time and we put in the effort, we could get there. And we make progress towards our goals. And then when we get close, something goes wrong and we feel it's insurmountable and we give up, or we just live a mediocre existence and we don't accomplish those big goals that we would like to. And this has been attributed to subconscious sabotage. And I believe that subconscious sabotage is nothing more than a narrative we have in our head based on what we think will happen if we're successful. And it's not anything good. It's what do we think will happen that we don't want to happen. So one of the things I do, and have done for many years, is I coach authors. And I help them to write their books and publish and market their books. And I have never met an author who doesn't have some sort of subconscious sabotage. And I remember asking one of my coachees, what do you think you'd have to give up if you became the successful author that you want to be? And her immediate answer was, my privacy. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Can you help me see what that looks like? And she said, well, I won't be able to go out to have dinner or to the grocery store even, because everybody will want my autograph. And when you say it out loud and you bring it into the light, unless you're Stephen King or Nora Roberts or Brene Brown or some famous, world famous author, you can pretty much live a pretty reclusive existence and live your life however you want to live your life. Most people won't even know who you are. And that is just the truth of it. But we've made up a story in our head that says, ooh, if I become so successful, this is the thing that's going to happen and I won't have any privacy and that will be horrible. So I better not become a successful author. Now, you're not usually aware of these messages, but when you sit still and you ask yourself the question, what would I have to give up to get what I want? When you suspect that you may be using some self-sabotage, when you can identify what that is, you can bring it out of the darkness, the recesses of your subconscious, bring it out into the light where you can actually look at it and you could say, is this true? And you recognize, I suppose maybe it could be true, but 99.9% it's probably not true. I'm probably afraid of something that's never going to happen. Or you might say, well, maybe it's a 50-50 chance it could come true. So if it's more likely to come true, then you develop a plan for how you'll manage it if it does come true, and then you feel more confident moving forward. So that's one example of having negative stories in your head. But another example is in our relationships, our intimate relationships, for example. We often take things that our partner does or says personally. We think it's about us. If we have a partner that needs time to themselves, for example, and they take time for themselves, they want to isolate and be alone and think about things, we might tell ourselves the story that our partner doesn't love us anymore, which is just a story you made up. There's no evidence of that. There's more evidence that your partner just needs some alone time to regroup and rebuild their strength and their patience and to be the best version of themselves that they could possibly be. You may not need that, so it makes it very difficult to understand why they do. But if you can recognize that it's not personal, that it's people do things for themselves, they don't do them to you. So when you recognize that and you can stop taking it personally, you might be able to stop judging and then develop some compassion for what they're going through and give them what they need, as I would hope they would do the same for you and give you what you need. And what you need is probably not alone time. What you need might be more connection time or a relationship time. So it would be this balance that you find, that you work towards, so that both of you feel that you're getting what you want. But first, you have to change the story in your head. You have to stop taking it personally. You have to stop feeling like what they're doing is a punishment of you somehow. And that's the story, right? So you rewrite it and you say, no, this isn't about me. This is about my partner needing some space. And because I love my partner like I do, I want to be magnanimous and give them the space that they need so they can come back a much better version of themselves for our relationship. That's another example of rewriting the story. Does that make sense? Hi, and welcome to Olver International. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Kim Olver, and I'd love to be your guide as you explore our site. At Olver International, I believe success happens when we find a better way and share it.